Well, hey, this is James Riley.
And Beth Riley.
And got an exciting edition of our Artist Spotlight podcast series. Who we have, Beth?
He's bad. He's nationwide. He's the Reverend Billy F. Gibbons.
How you doing?
No complaining on this side. As I mentioned, for all the podcast listeners, I'm sitting below the good luck horseshoe that's nailed on the wall behind me, but our ears are trained and tuned in to all the good words from your side, and I guess we'll get into all the good stuff here.
Absolutely.
We'll talk about your new album, Hardware, in just a minute, but we have a mutual friend by the name of Greg Morton. We were asked to ask you a question. If you were stranded on a desert island, what guitar and amp would you bring with you?
Yeah, the question would first be put a message in a bottle and see if we could float it back to saying, are we restricted to one? Actually, included in that message in a bottle, it'd be one's too many and 100 ain't enough. I should point out this new solo release, Hardware. The interesting origins came from a phone call from our fearless man with the backbeat, Matt Sorum. And most folks know Matt as, he's done his time with The Cult, later Guns N' Roses, even Velvet Revolver. I really enjoy the way he pounds the skins. He is fearless and ferocious. But I got a phone call and Matt said, hey man, he said, our partner in crime, Austin left-handed guitar Hanks is in town. And we've discovered a recording studio out near Joshua Tree. Let's make some loud noise. And I jumped to the conclusion that they were speaking of the great little studio called Rancho de la Luna, where I've worked with Queens of the Stone Age prior. And he said, no, it's a new joint. It's right across the highway. We'll swing by and pick you up. I said, great. We'll go out and see what the studio's on. What they forgot to tell me when he said across the highway, it was 20 miles across the highway. But we went out there thinking that, maybe a walkthrough, then we'd pull stakes, go get prepared. We walked in one door and didn't leave through the other door for 90 days. We were there for 3 months. That's how it started. And, back to what guitar would you take along Desert Island? We were literally in the desert, and it was an island. There was nothing but desert sand, some rocks, some cactus, and a few rattlesnakes. But on arrival, we poked around, and in the corner, I found an old early 60s Fender Jazzmaster plugged into a Fender reverb tank. And the engineer said, oh, no, you can't do it. Weren't you friends with Jimi Hendrix? I said, well, yeah, quite a while back. He said, well, he's the guy that said you shall never hear surf music again. I said, well, that's changing as of right now. We lit the fuse and launched into the first track. I must say that when we arrived, we had nothing but a blank sheet of paper and pencil in hand. The first crack out of the box turned out to be West Coast Junkie. In that track, I'm happy to say that the surf sound of the guitar is back.
Well, that was a nice surprise. I do a surf show, and I love the playlist that you did. The surf sessions, it had Dick Dale, you had some Link Ray, Beach Boys are in there. Now, was this surf guitar sound something that you've been a big fan of for a while?
Oh, ever since the 60s. I got my first guitar was a Gibson Melody Maker coupled with a Fender Champ amp that was presented on Christmas Day. From my vantage point, I could look down the street to the corner where there were two brothers that had a little combo, 2 guitars and drums. And that has always stuck with me as, I know it's a spare lineup, but it certainly served its purpose. But those guys, they had the surf sound down. I was branded early on. When we speak of surf sound, the irony comes from a group that was based in Boulder, Colorado, outside of Denver, the Astronauts.
Sure.
Here's a landlocked band, thousands of miles from the nearest crashing wave, but they did the surf sound like nobody's business. It's good stuff.
So there's also a track on your new album that you did, Desert High, for Jim Morrison of The Doors, who's one of my favorites, and Graham Parsons. Tell us about that song.
Yeah, nice bookend. We spoke about the first track being West Coast Junkie, and now the closing number. We were posed with the challenge to try and encapsulate what it means to be surrounded with that energy that everybody speaks of. When you encounter Joshua Tree, you can read about it, you can even see photographic essays of the place, but when you're there, you really get the essence. And all I can say is it's coupled with some mysterious energy that once it descends, it's in every direction. But it's a good thing. It's a real positive feeling, and it's very conducive. We somehow credited those mysterious moments to helping us peel the onion of every day seemed to be lifting the lid on the creative channel. We were writing maybe sometimes as many as 2-3 songs a day. But during the closing session, we tried to pick out various words that lent themselves to the experience. And it was so powerful, I found myself wanting to share it in kind of a spoken sound. I mean, the music track would be appropriate for any kind of a Western film. I was just rattling off this litany of desert-connected verbiage. And when you mentioned Graham Parsons, it's fairly well known that prior to ZZ Top, I was heading up the Moving Sidewalks band. You know, we got to join the tour with the Jimi Hendrix Experience and even Jim Morrison's outfit, The Doors. And someone said, gee whiz, we didn't know that you knew Graham Parsons. And I said, I must say that being a fan early on of Graham Parsons, I took the time to go down and catch his live show. And I went down to the venue early, and upon arrival, I noticed that there was an ancient tour bus, something that I had only seen pictures of. It was an exact model. It was an old flexible bus that they built back in the 40s. But painted down the side, it says, look out, here comes Graham Parsons. And as I stood there on the sidewalk, early in the afternoon, I was kind of pacing around, checking this bus out. And I got to talking to this guy, and he said, I guess you like this coach. I said, yeah, man. That led to about a 30-minute exchange with this guy. And I said, it must belong to Graham Parsons. He goes, yeah, it's mine. And I said, oh, are you the driver? He goes, no, I'm the singer. My name is Graham Parsons. So, yeah, half an hour had gone by. We weren't speaking of guitars. We weren't singing about songwriting. We were exchanging, extolling the virtues of an old flexible bus.
Oh, that's funny. I know it's tough to pick a favorite, maybe a favorite right now. Is there a song from the new record that you're just really digging?
Yes, I think one that sticks out in the midst of all 12 tracks. When I mentioned a 20-mile jaunt every day, the regimen started with a return to the tiny community of Yucca Valley. It was the nearest point of civilization, and the first stop along the way was a great little Mexican restaurant called Las Palmas. And we met the girl. She was the owner, she was the cook, she was the bookkeeper, she was the everything for this great Mexican restaurant. And I remember one day we walked in and the place was on fire. She stuck her head around the corner and she was waving a blanket. She goes, don't worry, I'm not burning the breakfast. I'll have this under control in a minute. And fortunately she did. So we left. We were quite satisfied with a great spread of Mexican food, as well as a new song title, which appears on the record called She's on Fire.
I got James a bottle of that stuff right there for Christmas.
Whisker Bomb hot sauce.
That's right. And with it being Taco Tuesday, we're definitely going to use it.
It is Taco Tuesday. You know, it's been Taco Tuesday for 13 months now. My good buddy and partner in crime, the songwriter and guitar player, Tim Montana. I've got to point out that the Whisker Bomb hot sauce, which is going great guns, you can get it online, of course. It started during a recording session, and during the break, I asked the engineer, I said, where's my buddy Tim Montana? He said, well, he's up in the kitchen commissary. I said, what's he doing up there? He said, well, he's whipping up some hot sauce. And I said, oh. I said, I should go join him. I've got a nice recipe. In addition to collaborating on songs, now we're collaborating on hot sauce recipes. You know, Tim sports, he's trying to catch up with these 2-foot chin whiskers. He said, "What? This is a nice flavor. It's got enough heat to get your attention. What are we going to call it?" And I said, "There's only one way to go: Whisker Bomb."
Yeah, don't overdo it. It's great, but boy, I overdid it first time I tried it. Nah.
Well, I must point out, there's two expressions. There's Whisker Bomb Original, which is packed full of flavor. It's got enough spice to get your attention, but the one you got to watch out for is the follow-up, Whisker Bomb Have Mercy Hot.
That's the one we have.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah. Have mercy, I tell you.
I think I'm in practice, but it really, when I say get your attention, it'll set you running out of the room.
Oh, man. There's a special Billy F. Gibbons country tribute show coming up at the Grand Ole Opry May 16th. Some of your friends, Brad Paisley, Ronnie Millsap, Tim Montana, we just talked about, many others. Man, how does this feel for an event like that at a place of such history as the Grand Ole Opry?
One by one, as the lineup began to populate, and you're absolutely right, this is going to be a night with some top players from near and far, new, old, you name it. It's going to be a great gathering. One of the high spots, well, a couple of them, I'm sure everybody's going to step forward with their best foot forward, I may say. We also have the luxury of performing not only with a great lineup of guitar players. Jimmy Vaughn is in the lineup.
Sure.
My nemesis, Guthrie Trapp. That fella. You've heard the plays. Oh, my God, we got to go see this guy. He plays the sides off that guitar. Well, Guthrie Trapp, not only does he play the sides off of it, he plays it from end to end, upside down, inside out, and backwards. It's really wild. All in all, the big reward is getting to play that interesting room, the Ryman Auditorium. And through the years, I think that every beam, every board, every timber throughout the building has rattled into place, and it becomes a giant speaker box. It's just got a great, great sound. It's going to be just that.
So a question that I was told to ask you from my father, who has a birthday shortly after the release of Hardware on June 4th. His birthday is June 27th. But he told me to ask you if you had any beer growing tips.
Well, yeah. I do. You got about 30 minutes?
Yeah, go for it.
Drink a lot of cold beer, grab a handful of vitamins on a day-to-day basis, and let it fly. Get lazy. Don't pick up the razor.
So is it difficult for you to go incognito during the pandemic and everything that we have going on? Probably hard to hide that beard underneath the mask.
I've got a great escape night. It's called Halloween.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I can go out and, dude, you look just like that guy in ZZ Top. You're going to win the contest tonight.
Oh, man. Well, hey, but I appreciate it. I know some other people are going to be calling in. I appreciate the time and wish you the best. This is a fantastic album.
Thank you for a great exchange. Riley and Riley, we'll go surfing with you and bopping down the lane.